Okay, in this example, what we're going to do is take the circle class, which is really similar to what we did in chapter 2, and we're going to modify it to create a method to calculate the area and return the area, and then add another feature to it and create a method to calculate the circumference and return the circumference. And then the main method, we want to call each of those two methods that we created to and then print the results. So below you'll see the circle class that we created for chapter 2, and all it does is calculate the radius, or the area of a circle given its radius here. So we have two variables, radius and area, of type double. Right, we assign a value to radius, and then we compute the area, and then display the results. So this is slightly different from the one that we did. There's a couple of different things, but for the most part, this is what we did in chapter 2. So, alright, so first off, what we want to do is to create a method to calculate the area. Right now we're doing it here in this part, and we want to move that outside of the main method to do that. So I'm going to go down and create a new method called area, and this method is going to have one parameter, and it's the radius. So it's public, static, and then its return type is a double, and let's call it something like calc area, double radius. Okay. Alright, so inside the method body, I need to define a new variable, area, and then take the results of this calculation. So we'll cut that out and put it down here. Okay, and then what we want to do is return the area. So we just basically moved this computation that was up here, we moved it down here in its own little separate area. Now, one thing you might say is, okay, well, wait a second, I defined double area here, right, the variable area of type double up here, and then I'm doing it again right here. Well, that has something to do with what's called the scope of a variable. Inside right here, this double area here, it's defined within the main method. So that symbol is getting used in between these two curly braces right here. So down here in this, in between these two curly braces, I can use the same variable name, and it won't cause any conflicts in there. So, okay, so I need to take this out here. This little piece, I'm calculating that down here in this method. Okay. And so now I need to get the return value somewhere in here. So I'm going to do that right here in this line. I'm going to say area equals calc area radius. So this line right here, I've defined the variable area already up here of type double, and so here I'm going to initialize it. I'm going to do that by calling this method calc area that I just created down here, and I'm going to pass that value of radius to calc area in here, and then it's going to perform the calculation, return that value, and that value is going to be assigned into area right here, and of course the results will be displayed just like here before. Alright, so let's try to compile it. Seems to compile okay. Let's run it, and you can see that it does pretty much the same thing that the program was doing before. We've just separated that calculation out here into its own little separate area. It does a specific task, and if you give it the radius, it will return the area for you. Okay. Alright, so the next part of the program, or the modifications that we want to make, is to create a method to calculate the circumference and return the circumference. So that's what we want to do. And then, of course, we want to display that later. So I'll go in here and create a new variable of type double in here. And then right below my area method, I'll go in and type in the information, the method, and declaring it, and define a new variable of type double, and that's going to hold the circumference, so that would be 2 times pi, and we're just using the approximation 3.14159 times the radius. That's just the standard formula, right, for the circumference, 2 pi times the radius. And then I'm going to return the value of that to the main method up here, or to whatever method that calls this. Okay, so that's the method is defined now, and then I'm going to go up here and call that method, and that method has one parameter, radius, right? So I'm going to have to call that and give it the value of radius there. And then, so now what will happen here is very similar to before, right? We define the variable circumference here of type double. Then right here we're initializing it, right? And how we're doing that, we're calling the method calc circumference down here. We're passing that value of radius, so 20 in this case, right? There's going to be a 20 in here, and then it's going to get passed to this method right here. Inside the method, the radius variable is going to hold that value that gets passed to it, which is 20, right? It's going to make these calculations here, and then it's going to return the value of that calculation back up here. So it's going to, execution is going to come back up here to this line, and it's going to take that value and it's going to store it in circumference right here. So all I have to do now is to display that result to the screen. I'm just going to add another line here. That /t is the tab character, so it will tab over a little bit. And then I'm going to take circumference of and then concatenate that with the value of circumference, the value that's in the variable. And hopefully that should do it. Let's compile it. Looks like it compiled okay. And then let's run it, and you can see what the result is. A circle of radius 20 has area of this and circumference of 125.67 roughly. So you can see basically hopefully how the methods work. They allow you to sort of compartmentalize your code and also reuse that code. Later on in the program, this is a pretty simple program, but maybe you have a more complicated one in which you have to do a specific task over and over again. So there's no need to rewrite that code over and over again. If you have to, you can just write it in a method, and then whenever you need to make that calculation, you can call or invoke the method. So it's a lot more efficient.